I'm Mrs. Kesters from Walsh Jesuit High School, and this section is on graphing by using the slope and y-intercept. First, what we need to talk about is what the slope is, and there's 4 different ways that you can talk about slope. They're always going to be fractions though, so you can think about the change in y over the change in x. And the crazy way to say that, or mathematician way to say that, is delta, which is that triangle, delta y over delta x. You can also think of rise over run. And finally, you can think of that last, the equation that I gave you, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So let's try some examples with using all these different types. So the slope of the line is always a ratio, okay, which means that it's going to be a fraction. So let's go ahead and look at this red line right here. So you want to find these points. There's one right here, and there's also one right here. And when you find those points, you want to think about this box made with the graphs, and it wants to hit right in the middle where all 4 corners hit. So those are going to be our points. So I always want to think of rise over run. And you always want to run to the right. Always want to run to the right. So we're going to start with the leftmost points because we want to run to the right, and we're going to go from the left-hand point to the right-hand point. You go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So you rise 4. And then you run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 4 over 7 would be the slope of the red line. Now let's go ahead and look at the green one. And as I said, you always want to work left to right, run to the right. So you rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you rise 11, and then you run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You run 1, 2, 3, 4. But now, do you notice how I went down? Because I went down, that means that this is going to be a negative slope. So your slope for the green line would be negative 11 over 4. Now let's look at these same lines. These are the same lines, and I just have the points labeled instead. Now we're going to use this equation to find slope. I'm going to choose the red one. Okay, we should get the same thing that we got before by just counting. So we have the point negative 2, 2, and 5, 6. I want you to label these points, x sub 1, y sub 1, because this is your x coordinate of point 1, y coordinate of point 1. Then the second point would be x sub 2, y sub 2, where this is the x coordinate of point 2, y's coordinate of point 2. It doesn't matter which order you have them, as long as your x and y are both with the sub 1s, and your x and y both have sub 2s of that same point. So let's go ahead and plug it into this equation. So you want y sub 2, which is 6, minus your y sub 1, which is 2, all over your x sub 2, which is 5, minus your x sub 1, which is a negative 2. Yes, you do have to include that negative, and it becomes plus plus because it's minus a negative. So 6 minus 2 gives me 4, 5 plus 2 gives me 7. So my slope is 4/7, which is what the slope was of the red line last time. So again, if you were to do this for the green, you would get the same exact equation that you got for the last one too. So let's go ahead and talk about the slope-intercept form. Whenever I say slope-intercept form, it's y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept of 0, b. It's going to be that point. So for example, this is written in slope-intercept form, y equals 3/2 x plus 6. So my m, or my slope, is 3 over 2, and my y-intercept is going to be 0, 6. Because here is my m, here is my b. So let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to graph by using the slope-intercept form. It's really simple. So you always want to find out what your slope is, your m. Your m is 2/5. Your y-intercept, or your b, in this case is going to be 0, 3. So from there, you always graph your y-intercept first. So graph your y-intercept, 0, 3. So you go over 0, up 1, 2, 3. Then from there, you use your slope to be able to find the other point. So you go up 2, 1, 2, always run to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's that point. So if you have one point here, you could also go down to 1, 2, and then go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how you can get 3 points from that equation, and there is your line. Let's try one more example. Now looking at this one, We have y equals negative 5x minus 4. Now your slope is not a ratio or it's not a fraction, so make it 1 by putting it over 1. So your slope, which is m, is going to be negative 5 over 1. Your y-intercept, or your b, is going to be 0, and don't forget that negative, negative 4. So what you want to do first is go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 for your y-intercept, because you go right and left 0, down 4. Now let's use our slope of negative 5 over 1. So we want to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1. That's why it is so important that you put your negative 5 over 1, so you remember to run to the right 1. You can also go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 1. The reason why we went down is because it is negative slope. Whenever it's a negative slope, you rise down. So this is going to be our line. And this is the equation. Y equals negative 5x minus 4 looks like this on your graph. Alright, well that's it for today. So if you have any questions, make sure you stop in the math office or go ahead and email me at kesterz@walshjesuit.org. I'll see you in class.